Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in February. Learn about our bachelor's degree programs on February 24th, explore master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and graduate certificates on February 26th. Find out about financial aid options and how to apply. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 31. Friday, partly sunny with a temp falling to 26. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 30. Go Dog Go, or Ve Perove, opens this week at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. Get tickets today at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend Robert Lilligren, and Robert Lilligren is President and Chief Executive Officer of Native American Community Development Institute, and we like to call that NACDI. How did I do, Robert?
Good job.
What one in a row?
Better than usual.
Right on. And you've been the leader, President and Chief Executive since 2016.
I know. Can you believe it? So coming up on 9 years. Oh my gosh. Before that, I was the chair of the board, the founding chair of the board for 8 years. So
I know it's crazy, but also tell people what you used to do too before you worked with Native American Community Development Institute. I always like to bring that up every once in a while for new listeners.
Yeah, I don't think I want to talk about my wild, crazy partying days back in my teens and early 20s. So maybe I'll fast forward to my 40s. So yeah, in 2001, I was elected to the Minneapolis City Council, first tribal citizen ever elected to office in the city of Minneapolis. Served there for 12 years as the vice president of the Minneapolis City Council. And that, I will tell you, that experience profoundly changed the trajectory of my life.
It's interesting too. It's weird. I spend a lot of time in Minneapolis, and I live in St. Paul, and seeing the Greenway and thinking of you. I was talking to Wendy about that when we drove by the Greenway.
So the Midtown Greenway, I assume, is what you're talking about. And so for folks who aren't from here, it's a railroad trench for most of the part, but a railroad tracks that were converted into a bike walk amenity, biking and walking amenity. Back in right around 2000, the first phase was done. It was done in 3 phases, and it goes all the way through the city, from the river, Mississippi River on the east, all the way to the lakes, the chain of lakes on the west. And it was really a transformational project. And I served on the board of the Midtown Greenway Coalition. That was the advocacy group that really pushed and had it built. Hennepin County, the county that Minneapolis sits in, was a big leader here. And I want to be really clear. My role in that was pretty minor, a board member and advocate. But I did live in the first phase, and it went through right in the heart of the city. There's an area called the Phillips area, the Phillips neighborhoods. They had been traditionally quite blighted, and consequently, it's one of the most diverse parts of the city, probably of the country, actually. There's just such an interesting mix and balance of different demographics there. And we didn't have amenities like that. We don't have any lakes in our part of the city or anything. And so to bring this amenity into this, those kinds of communities, to give us opportunities to use active transportation, biking and walking, was huge. But the biggest deal, Robert, I will tell you, was it brought people who normally wouldn't come into that part of the city right into the Phillips area. And these were people who, I think some of them probably avoided that part of the city because it experienced a lot of the conditions that blight brings, right? Low wealth, higher crime. And when they finished the first phase, it came just a few blocks into the Phillips area. Started from the west, which is kind of everything in the Twins in Minneapolis to the west is a little better and a little nicer, right? And so these bicyclists would come in the end of the first phase of construction was right by my house, right by it. And so I would see this all the time. So you get these bikers coming down the Greenway, and then you get to the end, and beyond that, it was just still a derelict railroad corridor. So they have to stop. And they would stand there, and they would put their hands up by their eyes and look down this corridor, like, I wonder what's beyond there. Like they were pioneers or something. What's there? You know?
Did the old cigar, Native American cigar?
Right. Something like that. But then the whole thing opened, and it was very transformational to that part of the city. And that, of course, was the part that I represented while I served on Minneapolis City Council.
Well, also too, I've never asked you this, but I know you're a biker, and you were a biker back then too, right?
Yeah. Yep, I was primarily a bike commuter, and to this day, I still am a bike commuter. I probably walk or bus more than I used to back then. I'm not as young as I was. I used to be a year-round bike commuter up until, maybe 8-9 years ago, and I was biking to Little Earth of United Tribes, where I was working at the time, and it had been raining, and I didn't realize it was so cold, and so the roads looked really slick, and I thought it was just water. And as I was coming down the hill by my house to get on the Midtown Greenway, I took a major spill, major wipeout, bent the frame of my bike, and did a lot of damage to myself. But I was like, okay, I don't bounce back as quickly as I did, when I was younger. So I made the determination then not to be a year-round bike commuter, but in the bike season, spring, summer, fall. That's my transportation mode of choice.
Absolutely. We got a lot of things going on in the community, and I wanted to talk a little bit. One of the things I wanted to ask you And I don't know if I gave the right answer, but a reporter from Indian Today was
Indian Country
asking me,
Journal.
was asking me why I thought all these ICE people were in the direct area that they have been in, which is, a very diverse area and very close to everything that we, claim, feel
Right.
really cool about.
Right. Yeah. So the area they're most active in, and that's been expanding over the last weeks, but it's right in the near South Minneapolis, just south of downtown. And a lot of it is within the Phillips area, the 4 neighborhoods of Phillips. And that's where our offices are, the American Indian Cultural Corridor. There's a very strong Native presence along Franklin, and Little Earth of United Tribes is just a few blocks south of there. And they are very active there. And who knows what goes on in the minds of the leadership of ICE and Border Patrol. But part of it is we shared that geography, the Native community, with a lot of new arrival communities, East African immigrants, Latino immigrants, and others. So there's just a proximity there. And of course, that's who ICE is focusing on. But I will say this, Robert, right after this ramped up, or this started ramping up in late November, December, and then the big surge at the beginning of the year and the ICE murders here. Of course, as a community, we're very good at protecting ourselves, our relatives, our non-Native neighbors. So we organized around protecting our geography, our part of the city. And it took, for me, I thought, okay, our darker skinned Native relatives are going to be most vulnerable. They probably look most like immigrants. And that's where I thought ICE's focus would be. But it just took a couple of days for me to realize that they are targeting Native people. They are targeting Native people here. And so since we share this convenient geography with our immigrant relatives, it's just kind of convenient, but it's really clear they're specifically targeting Native people, who are, of course, the furthest thing from immigrants on this stolen land. And so it's kind of a head scratcher. But here's what I've come to. The conclusion I've come to, Robert, is that they are attacking our sovereignty, right? Sovereignty. They're attacking our sovereignty. They're attacking the sovereignty of our whole state, right?
Yes.
And so I think there's a particular piece there, and they have tried to leverage releasing Native detainees for concessions from tribes and things. So, yeah, we are under attack here.
Right on. Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, and we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in February. Learn about our bachelor's degree programs on February 24th, explore master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and graduate certificates on February 26th. Find out about financial aid options and how to apply. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present. earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are with our friend Robert Lilligren, CEO and President of Native American Community Development, and our White Earth Ojibwe relative here in Minnesota. And Robert, I gotta ask, or not ask, I gotta just make a statement here. It's been so good the last few days to be in community. Last night we missed you, and I know you weren't feeling well, and going to the jingle dress dance, and then also going to the powwow grounds and being in community and seeing people, and people aren't giving up like maybe you would if you're isolating. So that's kind of a real joyous thing last night that we went to, and we missed you.
Nice. Yeah, it killed me to not be there. I've been a little sick. I'm still a little sick, but I'm just operating with the illusion of health thanks to cold medication. I'm sure that'll wear out at some point. But yeah, so there was a wonderful Native-led fundraiser for our White Earth sister, Peggy Flanagan, who is our Lieutenant Governor here in Minnesota, and she is seeking our U.S. Senate seat that is opening up. And Birch Bark Books and other partners put together a Native-focused fundraiser. I was on the host committee and did my part to rustle up some contributions. We exceeded our goal for that event. And I loved seeing the pictures on social media. It was just, many of my favorite people were there to show their support for Peggy Flanagan.
Yeah, definitely. And we talk a lot about her, and I guess too, the caucus, Wendy and I went to the caucus, and it was really good to be there and become delegates, and really, we go to the caucus all the time, but there was like twice as many people there, and it was amazing.
I love it. So I chaired my precinct caucus, and for those who are from outside Minnesota, we have a robust caucus system that chooses delegates that then go on to conventions at Senate districts and congressional districts and the state, ultimately, that endorse candidates, but also establish the party's platform. And we're both of the same party, and so and it was the same at our caucus. And I tried to avoid being my caucus chair, but they kept saying, "Well, if you can't find anybody else, call me." And so they called me, and so I love doing it. But at the same thing, it was much better attended than it usually is. My precinct is actually fairly small. It's my immediate neighborhood. But and there were, I would say, 70% were first-time caucus attendees. And that makes me feel good, right? It's like people feel the need to be involved. And yeah, so it was very rewarding experience. And I'm a delegate too, so I'll go on to the Senate district is the next level. We also have a city and county convention this year, but I didn't seek that. But I want to get to the Senate district, onto the congressional district, and hopefully to the state convention to support Peggy Flanagan.
Yeah, definitely. And we were working kind of somewhat volunteering with the tabling, and I started doing handing out stickers to everybody for Peggy Flanagan stickers, Wendy and I, and we got busy, and we ran out, which is
really good work.
Yeah.
Good work.
And very few people did not want the sticker.
Nice.
Very few.
Yeah, I was talking to our friend Lieutenant Governor Flanagan recently, and I said, does your campaign feel as good on the inside as it does out here? And she said, first off, thank you for saying that. And then she essentially said yes. And so she is just running a solid campaign. She is an incredible politician, and not just the sort of retail part of politics, but she is just authentic, right? And she She's one of the most effective elected officials I've ever seen at listening to people, translating that into action, policy, and things within government. I've been a big supporter of her since for her very first campaign back in 2004 when she successfully ran for the Minneapolis School Board. And she became, I believe, the youngest member ever elected to the Minneapolis School Board. And yeah, that was quite an honor to watch. I was vice president of the Minneapolis City Council at the time, so I was much deeper into the political scene. But yep, she is amazing.
What amazes me, and I think Governor Walz has this too. Wherever I see them, it's a different speech, and it's not only to the community, but it's different with the same content, and that's a gift in itself. I'm just amazed on how well a speaker she is.
She is, and you're right, Governor Walz as well. They both stay on message incredibly well, but then tailor the message to their audiences. And they both have that same quality I was talking about in Peggy, that they really listen to people, right? You get the sense that they're being authentic, and then they translate what they hear into action. And sometimes I joke in politics, sincerity is the easiest thing to fake, but that's a little bit of a joke. But they're both very sincere and authentic politicians, elected officials. I can remember the first time I met Tim Walz. He was running in a congressional district here to go to Congress, which was traditionally a Republican congressional district. And I've been hearing, this is before the internet, or just as the internet was dawning, and I was hearing about this Democrat, DFL, or we call him here, Democratic Farmer Labor Party candidate, who was viable in this red district. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I was at a political event here, and he and his wife Gwen walked in, and I'm like, oh, that's him. That's the guy I've been reading about. And so I went over and introduced myself, and within minutes, I saw why he was so viable, because he just really engaged with anyone that walked up to him. He's one of those people that, and I know it sounds cliche, but he makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room when he's talking to you, and I'm like, okay, this guy is viable down there. Sure enough, he won the seat. He was reelected several times until he decided to run for the governor here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Did I ever tell you that story about when I met Obama? Well, I'll just do the quick Reader's Digest condensed version of it. So got to meet him in Wisconsin and Milwaukee and do pictures with him. And
nice.
That's when I was working for Ho-Chunk as a legislator. And I was irritated about Standing Rock and freeing Leonard Peltier. So I had a Free Leonard Peltier button on. And I was going to kind of give him my, my 2 cents. Well, 15 seconds later, he put his hand out and said, "How are you doing, Robert?" And 15 seconds later, I wanted to kiss him and hug him, and then I was gone.
Right. Well, I agree. So I had the privilege
the dynamicness of him.
Right. It was amazing. And same thing, my first experience was when he was still a senator, and he was here meeting with different groups of potential supporters. And so there was elected officials. I was part of that. Environmentalists and labor were the 3 big groups. And then he was doing an appearance here. And he came into our group of elected officials. There's maybe 15, 20 of us. And he said, I'm going to go around the room, a circle. We were in a circle. And he said, I want you to ask me a question and that you need answered. So when you leave here today, you'll be my supporter. And he just went right around the room, and he did the same thing. I introduced myself, Robert Lilligren, Vice President of Minneapolis City Council, citizen of the White Earth Ojibwe Nation. And then he said, okay, Robert. I asked my question. And he said, okay, Robert. And he said my name, and I was kind of the same way. I'm like, yeah, I'll support you. I'll support you.
I was going to be salty with him, Robert, and I ended up wanting to kiss him.
Right. I love it. Then at that year, I ended up being a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. So where Obama was given the nod for the first time, and it was just incredible. It was like history all around you. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's things that I'll never forget. And they said Bill Clinton is like that too, where you meet him. I don't know if you ever met him, but just the charismaticness of just meeting him and being in the same room.
Yeah, I never did. I mean, I've been in rooms with them and in Denver at the Democratic National Convention in 2008, where Obama got the nomination. So we were in an auditorium of about 25, 30,000 people, right? And right behind us, all of a sudden the place went quiet and everyone looked over by where the Minnesota delegation was. And so I'm like, what? And I looked behind and Bill Clinton had just come in and sat sort of in the balcony right behind us, and it was just like everybody's head turned. I mean, that goes to your comment about magnetism and charisma. People just loved him.
Yeah, and then back to what we were saying, our lieutenant governor has that and is going to move forward. What she had to say, maybe I can talk a little bit about, which really resonated with me in our next segment.
Sure.
Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're going to take a quick break here, and hopefully the mothership will play some bumper music because I like dancing in between the bumper music. Let's hear it. I think Brett's running the board. Brett, let's hear the bumper music. There it is. Oh, we'll be right back. We're with Robert Lilligren, Native American Community Development Institute, and our White Earth Ojibwe relative. We'll be right back.
We are Alusa Nation. We are Alusa Nation.
Thinking about college? Consider Minnesota private colleges. These 18 nonprofit institutions keep the focus on students with small classes and professors who will get to know you. You'll find students from all backgrounds, and no two colleges are alike. And when it comes to cost, they're more affordable than you think. Find the college that's right for you at mnprivatecolleges.org/possible. That's mnprivatecolleges.org/possible.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Gianni Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations in Gianni Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in February. Learn about our bachelor's degree programs on February 24th. Explore master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and graduate certificates on February 26th. Find out about financial aid options and how to apply. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Gianni Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work, The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 31. Friday, partly sunny with a temp falling to 26. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 30. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Bobby Wilson.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We were with our friend Robert Lilligren, Native American Community Development Institute here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And, Robert, it's hard for me to talk about this sometimes, but I really feel like what's happening in Washington right now could happen in the opposite way if we get our poop in a group. And I think Peggy was talking about that last night, where it came to, we're not going to play around anymore. We're going to get universal health care. We're going to get these things that that we've wanted and 70% of the country wants.
Right. I mean, that's the point, right? 70% of the country want things like universal health care, child care. These are things that Peggy's administration, Governor Walz's administration, were part of passing here. When we had, for 2 years, we had Democrats had control of the governor's mansion, the state senate, and the state house, and they really advanced a progressive agenda. I think that's another reason we're being targeted by this administration. We have shown that it's smart and good business to be compassionate toward how we care for our neighbors and for our relatives. And it's a success, right? By just about every indicator, people in Minnesota are wealthier, healthier, happier, better educated than pretty much anywhere else in the country, right? And so that's why we have to be punished for succeeding. And I believe that's true. I believe that if, we do what we need to do for the midterm elections, I believe we could see some real positive change in this country and in the next administration, the last 2 years of this president. But if we get Senate majorities in the House or in Democratic majorities in the House and Senate, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. And I really believe that we are going to have a blue wave, but we have to stay vigilant and talk about the things that you and I are talking about right now, and keep people plugged in, because not everyone can watch, MSNBC or C-SPAN or whatever, like I can during the day. They're working and taking care of things and paying bills, and the bills are high now.
Bills are high. Affordability is a huge issue right now, and it touches everyone, right? Not everyone, not if you're a billionaire or maybe even a millionaire, but most people I know, the affordability issue is how you can't afford your housing, you can't afford your food, people are working 2-3 jobs. So that's going to be big, and it'll be interesting to see how the Republicans message or don't around affordability. And there's just all these indicators, these special elections all around the country. And from, everyone, or political junkies like me and probably you, are just zeroed in on those because they're going incredibly well for Democrats. And just last week, there was a special election for a state legislative seat in Texas, where a Democrat won by 8 points, but Trump had won by 20 points, right? So there was a 30-point swing in this red state legislative district in Texas. That's saying something, and it gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, definitely. And we talk about, a week ago where the Minnesota seat 64A was 95% over 4% Republicans, and that's what we're talking about. We got to stay on focus, and keep on bringing up the Epstein files, keep on bringing up these things that really are outrageous. Would have been 10 years ago, it would have been outrageous that we're even talking about this. I remember one person running for president screamed, remember that? And then and Gary Hart, do you remember Gary Hart? We're the same age. I mean, all these things, indiscretions and weirdness. You can't be president, but now the media has normalized this.
Right. Hart had a woman who wasn't his wife, a photo of a woman who wasn't his wife sitting on his lap, right? Remember that? I think that was his big.
Yeah. And it made the National Enquirer.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone about this because at our caucuses, we were soliciting for people to be election judges, which is a pretty cool way here to be involved. It's a paid gig and things. Mm-hmm. But I talked about back in it must have been the late 80s, and I was doing election judging, and we had a gubernatorial candidate that behaved inappropriately around a teenage girl and got bumped off the ballot last minute. So election judges worked the polling places for like 24 hours straight because we had to hand count every ballot. And, his behavior today would be mild. He inappropriately groped a 17-year-old friend of his daughter. And that was scandalous enough to bounce him off the ballot like a week before the election. And now that's just business as usual.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, one of the things, and we only got a few minutes here left with you, Robert, one of the things that I believe we really have to talk about is mail-in and not be afraid to go to the polls and mail in and go there, vote before the election and make sure that you're able to vote. And we got to really, because they're going to be out there looking all icy at these election places. You can bet.
Yeah, nope, you're exactly right. And actually, I had 2 calls today about this. But as you know, at NACDI, Native American Community Development Institute, we have our Make Voting a Tradition engagement, civic engagement program, MBAT we call it. And then it's not just about voter registration and turnout. It's nonpartisan, of course, we're a nonprofit, but it's about encouraging Native people and our non-Native relatives to engage with policymakers and hold them accountable. It's a year-round program, but we knew this at the end of last year. We started talking about it. Now with our local and national partners, we're ramping up this new activity that we haven't had to do in the past, which I call voter safety, right? Polling place safety. How do we keep voters safe when they're exercising their right? I never thought we'd have to work in that kind of area, but it's very real right now.
Yeah, and I believe, when we speak and we get closer to the election, we really need to amplify what people need to do and how they need to be prepared. But right now, we don't know as yet because the federal government wants to take over the elections and all these things.
Right. Our president is talking about federalizing the elections, and that means, of course, taking over, like you said, and for election safety and security. And it's in the Constitution that states run elections. Our state runs incredibly clean elections. We have usually the highest statewide voter turnout in the country. Mm-hmm. I think we fell 1 spot last election cycle, but people have high confidence in our elections. And what the federal feds just did down in Georgia and the county that Atlanta's in, they seized ballots. These ballots have been counted multiple times, and no inaccuracies or frauds have been discovered. But they're gonna. I have low trust in this federal administration, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to manufacture some kind of evidence. But it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough this election cycle.
Well, and again, what I really appreciate too is like Wendy and I have been in community was the caucus and then last night, and we feel better because there's a lot more people. And it's funny, Robert, Wendy and I were talking about this too, is that, with a lot of our battles, we have a lot of, white allies battling with us.
Right.
But now they've joined the fight, and it's just been exciting to see.
It's been exciting to see. It's encouraging. And I also feel that, Here in Minneapolis, we've had a lot of rough times recently. George Floyd was murdered. The city turned into violent protests then. But within the Native community, we stepped in and decided to protect our Native relatives, our non-Native neighbors, their assets with people power, not violence, not boarding up buildings. And we were incredibly successful. Almost no damage on the American Indian Cultural Corridor. Little Earth of United Tribes defended itself beautifully. And now I see the whole city, comparing this to what happened after George Floyd, our whole city, it's grim here, but people are determined to resist, to stay peaceful, prayerful. And I really believe that this is indigenous behavior and values kind of moving concentrically out and more broadly. And I got to do more thinking around this, and sort of connect some dots. I'm already connecting some, but I feel like Native people, indigenous people have something to teach the broader community. And to your point, I think the broader community is willing to listen and learn.
Yeah, well, we learned it from Standing Rock too. And
Right.
When we had our dogs, Wendy and I, and we weren't going to cross the bridge on Thanksgiving weekend, they had a bridge that goes across to Turtle Hill, and all the police
Yep.
were there, and they were going to go across. And well, we were 200 yards away. We got closer. We wanted to see what was going on, but we weren't going to protest. The next thing you know, we're crossing the bridge with our fist.
Right on, good for you. Yeah. That being at Standing Rock, even briefly, profoundly impacted how I do my work. It was a lesson, right? And I think here we're living that lesson today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that peaceful protesting and people getting hit with water cannons, dogs, all those things, and not fighting back. We've learned that, and what we also learned too. Even Standing Rock's been 10 years ago, but we have better cameras now.
Right. Very good cameras. And yeah, I'm very proud of what's happening here. I mean, just for folks who aren't here, it's hard. It's bad. It's worse than you're seeing on TV. We are living under violent federal occupation. People are getting violently assaulted, pulled out of their cars, pulled out of their homes. I just saw some video talking about cameras where they broke a glass door to an apartment building. ICE did, and went in and were pulling people out of their apartments. That's our reality here. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of our Native relatives and our non-Native allies, and that we're not taking the bait, right? We're remaining peaceful, prayerful, based on our values. A lot of ceremony going on in the community, and
Well, we only got a minute left, Robert. I really appreciate it. I know you're under the weather coming on. How can people, we have people listen to us all over the country. How can people support what's happening at the powwow grounds and what's happening with Native American Community Development Institute and MUD?
Yeah, great. The outpouring of support has been incredible. There's a number of places people can tap in. Powwow Grounds Coffee Shop website, Indigenous Protector Movement. People can contribute. The place I've been sending people lately is to we have a leadership forum here called Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors, MUID. MUD is what we say. And at the Facebook page, the MUD Community Group, we're trying to keep that as updated as possible in ways that people can help, and what kinds of contributions and donations are needed, what kind of healing activities are going on around the city. So there isn't, unfortunately, just one place to tap in. If you Google Minnesota Native American organizations, you probably get a bunch, but I would recommend, as a place to start for people who are on Facebook, go to the MUD community, MUID community page on Facebook.
Robert, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you feel better. And we really, really missed you last night, but there's going to be more where that's coming from, and it's going to be a long election. So a big Pinigi, thanks again for coming on.
Everyone.
Hey, we'll be right back. We're going to be with Wendy and talk about our sacred animal update.
Stay with us.
Oh. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present. earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in February. Learn about our bachelor's degree programs on February 24th. Explore master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and graduate certificates on February 26th. Find out about financial aid options and how to apply. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Robert Pilot.
In this portion of the show, we like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
No! That was my bear.
Exactly.
Hey, I want to introduce my awesome, beautiful wife. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and she's been on Native Roots Radio and this is coming on your 10th season, and you're a co-founder of this show. And we used to do Pilot's Progressive Party again, and those were the good old days. But always great to get an update on our sacred animals. But I just wanted to change that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Last night, we were in community.
We went to a fundraiser.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we saw a lot of people.
Yes, we did. We saw a lot of people there, and it felt really good because, it's been feeling really heavy.
Yeah.
Everything's been feeling really heavy, really hard. You wake up in the morning, you're kind of like, oh. But being in community, seeing so many people with like minds there, raising money for someone we really hope to win, a candidate. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but whatever.
Well, we did last hour, so you
okay.
can mention
So
it.
that's great. We were there for Peggy Flanagan. She is currently our lieutenant governor here in Minnesota, and she's running for Minnesota Senate. And I believe that she is a perfect candidate because of so many reasons. I'm sure you talked about that already. So, yeah. And the other person I saw there was my state director for Humane World for Animals.
Yes.
So he lives in that, close by. And it was so great to see Aaron.
Yeah.
And we talked about some stuff. And he said to me, Wendy, somebody told me the story about how you ended up with your dogs. And I just think it's such a sweet story. So he goes, remind me, how did it go? And
we haven't talked about that on the show in a long time.
Kind of told him the story about how we ended up with 3 dogs at the same time.
That didn't know us.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good. I felt good to be there. Before we left, I was feeling tired because we watched our grandkids before. So, you're up early. They're 18-month-old twins, so they keep you going all day. And I was tired. And honestly, I was just like, oh, maybe I'll just tell Robert to go himself. And then I was like, nope, brush your hair, put some makeup on, get ready and go. And I did, and I'm so glad I did because it really felt good. It felt uplifting. It just felt hopeful. That's the only word I could come up with is hopeful. So I did feel hopeful.
And you felt
Yeah.
hopeful when we caucused too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, our caucus rooms were standing room only.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable the turnout that was happening.
People are engaged.
Yeah, people are engaged. People want to do something. People are mad. They want change,
Mhm.
and it's going to happen. I mean, I'm really seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, that was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But in your sacred animal portion, which you've been doing forever,
Yeah.
I know you got a couple fun facts. We used to do Fun Fact
Yeah.
Friday, and maybe we can pull that together again tomorrow.
Sometimes it's fun to just do you know what, one thing I want to just mention about animals or mammals, if you got 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
I was just reading something, and this is really interesting, that humans are the only mammals who fight their sleep. So
Wow.
every other mammal, they're tired, they lay down, they go to sleep. That's it. And humans are the only ones that don't. And I know that because we have, two 18-month-old grandchildren who don't want to stay, they're just about literally. It's like, oh my God, they're going to sleep. Their eyes are just about to close and they pop them open and stand up. It's like, oh my gosh.
That's exactly
And
what
as
they
an adult,
do.
I fight my sleep all the time. It's just like, let me watch one more episode of, The Pit, or, let me scroll on Facebook more, so we do that to ourselves. It's really hard for me, I know, to just say, oh, I'm really tired and just go with it,
Yeah.
We should be more like our animal mammals who just succumb to the sleep, get a restful sleep, and then just do it. Yeah.
That is so funny. They eyes pop open and they jump up, and that is literally what they do.
Exactly what they do. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not even. And Summer, she's just they're both just adorable, but she'll like up. That's what she'll say. She'll say up. She's going up.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really hard to.
It's hard to be a grandparent
Well,
when there's two of them.
They're so funny. They said our names for the first time today.
That were clear.
It really warmed my heart. It was really, really warmed my heart. They know us,
Right.
whereas I go by Nona, which is like a really, really old fashioned name for grandma in Italian. Robert goes by Choka, which is grandfather and Ho-Chunk.
Yep.
So that's what we go by, Nona and Choka. And the kids know us. Like
they'll point where we are.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. I mean, they know Nona and Choka. They know us. But they really haven't said our names yet out loud. I'm saying to myself, you guys could say no. All you have to do is say nah, no, nah. That's easy.
Well, they're both kind of mumbling, and then when we heard a clear Nona, that's
really
for sure.
Cute today, and she
Choka's
said,
a little harder to say.
It sounded like she said "caca," like "caca."
Coca.
Yeah, coca something, but it was really, really cute.
I like how she says, because you have in their the former studio, you have
in their nursery
all these paintings that you've done. With animals, and they can say them all and they sign them.
Yep.
But I like the way she says cow. She goes, cow.
Yeah. So they all learn their animals. I have some farm animals and I have some jungle animals, and then 2 mice. So there's a little variety of animals in their nursery, and they're all paintings that I've done. And by the way, I'm going to put this out there right now, because over the weekend, I'm going to be working on getting my art together. And I'm going to be selling some canvas prints, and I'm going to be selling some greeting cards and what else do you call those? Prints, just like prints, small prints, like 8x10s.
Matted prints,
framed prints, regular prints that aren't matted, whatever you want, a variety of prices. And I'm going to put 100% of the proceeds to the sales of that art. I think I'll start it, I'll work on it over the weekend, get it all organized, and then by Monday, get that up and out. And all the money is going to go to families
Mhm.
who have been affected by this ice raid. Like
know
I know
all these
personally someone whose brother was taken, who has a wife and 2 kids.
Yeah.
Now the brother is supporting the other wife and the 2 kids along with his.
But he could get scooped up any minute
And
too.
he can too. So that's where the money's going to go, to help people, just to support them, to have, pay their rent, buy the food, do whatever they need to do. Also, I'll find out some animal shelters that have gotten some
Mhm.
pets.
Oh my gosh, a lot of them.
A lot of them. So it's going to go to really good things. And people out there who know me know that I will do this 100%. I don't know how I'll be able to get receipts and things, but maybe I could,
Well, I guess
do something to
we'll
make
run
it formal.
We'll get you on, but we'll also run some commercials.
Yeah.
And then also, that was interesting that our sacred animal portion was about our God or our grandkids. That's awesome. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance from Chief Plenty Coops, the ground on which we stand on. It's sacred ground. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest